So thanks so much, everyone. I'm excited to be here to present. It's a privilege to present this to people who understand supply chains. I'm excited. Let me just get our deck out here and we can get this to go. All right, wonderful. So international trade today is a $19 trillion industry. But actually the potential is much more significant. It should be $25 trillion or more, lifting another 100 million people out of poverty. I'm Tanjila Islam. I'm the CEO and founder of TradeFlo, blockchain-powered platform for global trade. I bring 2 decades of experience working with governments, retailers, wholesalers, and manufacturers in over 60 countries worldwide. And the #1 problem that we've always seen is the absence of validation, which leads to a lack of trust in international trade, which leads to high risk, high cost, and zero visibility. International trade, as a result, is costly, complicated, and time consuming. It's this archaic documentary process, which you can see laid out here. The average transaction requiring around 36 documents, 240 copies, and 27 entities, costing Fortune 500 companies $81 billion per year. With TradeFlo, we are utilizing a private permission blockchain so that we can bring all of the actors in the supply chain, including the buyer, the seller, insurer, transporter, inspector, into a unified, immutable single source of trust, where they can share data on a private permission manner in order to reduce time and paperwork per transaction and increase business and business opportunities. With our blockchain supplier validation, we're focused on creating a vendor identity in a repeatable loop where suppliers can, I'll kind of start the video here of the platform itself, but basically you'll see that suppliers can create a company profile. They can then upload their government registrations, their business licenses, other corporate documentation such as their certifications. Once these are uploaded, they are then sent to different entities that have actually issued these reports or registrations that can then verify whether or not these are approved or not approved. These approvals are then stored on the blockchain, not just for the verification themselves, but also for the customer references. And these hashes are stored on the blockchain and actually create a validated vendor identity that can then be utilized by any potential business partner, customer on an ongoing basis. We're also really excited to be integrated IoT into our blockchain platform with the miniaturized magnetoelastic tags for tracking small items. And when you look at the ME tags, the conventional ones are 300 millimeters squared, whereas the mini ones are 3 millimeters squared, the smallest and lowest cost in the market, barely covering half of a penny. These can be used to tag merchandise for quantity confirmation, inventory management, tracking and anti-theft, establishing brand provenance and traceability. And again, all of this information is available to buyer, seller, and relevant parties through our shared ledger. We're also integrating this 3D imaging technology where a single image can produce a 3D image of a product so buyers can inspect, review, and approve samples based on virtual fittings. This data can also be stored on the TradeFlo platform to verify fit and inspection approval as an immutable record accompanying purchase order contracts. So when we look at a unified blockchain transaction on TradeFlo, we start with step 1, which is the vendor validation, establishing trust, knowing who your supplier is and knowing who that counterparty is. Once that has been established, you can move into step 2, the sales contract, PO, and invoice. This data is reported per transaction, as well as any other 3D imaging or other documentation required. Moving on, once the product has been manufactured, merchandise authentication and inspection, quantity and quality confirmation amongst all parties. Products can be tagged using the mini ME tags. Merchandise can then be tracked utilizing the tags during shipment. And then when it comes time for delivery and payment, all of the products can be validated and verified quite quickly with the data that is available on the TradeFlo platform. Our first business use case is the apparel sourcing industry, which is a $270 billion market in the United States alone. I actually own a fashion sourcing platform, and we work with retailers, wholesalers, and companies around the world. Many of them have expressed interest in utilizing and testing our platform as we're beginning to launch, including companies such as H&M and Lee & Fung. Our platform is industry agnostic, and we can quickly expand to new categories, including food service and electronics. Our revenue model is subscription for platform use for buyers, sellers, and service providers, as well as sales of the ME tags and a subscription for the ME tag services, as well as the 3D imaging software. When looking at our year-on-year growth for number of buyers and suppliers with TradeFlo, I do own 2 other international trade companies, one in the fashion space and one in the PPE space. We already have a large number of buyers and sellers that we work with around the world. We're looking to leverage around 600 of those in year 1 to begin working with and testing our platform, and then being able to scale up significantly from there, reaching a community of 10,000 buyers and sellers by year 3. I have significant amount of experience in international trade, and I have a great team with global trade experience, blockchain experience, and supplier risk management experience. Our CTO, Vinshu Gupta, he has designed blockchain platforms for the National Bank of Dubai, XVIN, and Paytm India. And I myself have designed and managed hundreds of millions of dollars worth of trade and economic development programs for USAID and the World Bank throughout South and Southeast Asia, and do run 2 other trading companies currently. So we're really excited to bring together our team, our expertise, to really create this game-changing platform for global trade, which if I had this platform, my own companies would have grown much more aggressively. And again, my background is in economic development, and the whole reason I got into trade is because trade actually increases prosperity. And just reducing supply chain barriers to trade actually increases GDP growth by 5% worldwide. So we're excited to be presenting TradeFlo. We're on a mission to eliminate barriers to trade with blockchain, create trusted vendor identities, support environmental and social compliance, facilitate shared manufacturing and inventory management, and also, of course, support inclusive economic growth worldwide. Thank you.
Very good. Does anyone have any questions?
So how do you see yourself by 2024 or 2025?
By 2025, actually, we see ourselves as having built out our full platform. Currently, we're in the process of launching the vendor validation platform as well as the transaction platform. And so by 2025, we will be actually supporting a number of industries, including apparel, electronics, food service, both in the retail and the wholesale sectors, and also providing trade financing as well through our platform. And we really look to be the kind of the gold standard in terms of validated vendor identities. So right now, I think one of the biggest problems in international trade is that it's hard to verify who your supplier is and who your business partner is. And we really want TradeFlo to become the gold standard in allowing companies to do that worldwide by creating this 360 frictionless vendor validation system, which then allows companies to seamlessly go into the transaction platform.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions?
I think we got one in the chat box from Vikash. Can you share with us the breakdown of your scaling up expenses, including your infrastructure?
Sure. So basically, scaling up for infrastructure, I'm happy to, I don't have our financial model on this deck, but basically the bulk of our expenses is going towards infrastructure. We've currently been, building the platform, self-financing the development of the platform. We are looking to now raise $8 to $10 million for the continue to build out both the blockchain validation platform as well as the full DeFi transactional platform and integrating the inventions that I mentioned here. 70% of that will be going to technology and platform development, the other 30% to business development globally. We will be hiring industry sector experts. We already have a few on our team, specifically in the fashion, electronics, and the healthcare sectors. But as we scale up, we would be bringing on additional industry sector leaders to manage the growth of those specific industries. The majority is definitely on the technology side, and I'm happy to provide anyone with a further detailed breakdown after.
Another question is, how do you expect to manage multiple companies simultaneously?
Well, with TradeFlo is basically my passion and the result of my entire 20-year career in international trade and seeing all of the problems in international trade and coming up with a solution that I always was looking for. So, as we're getting ready to launch this, I'm going to have other people take over running those two businesses. So this is my passion and my full-time job moving forward.
And you got a nice compliment. Thank you for your presentation. Very compelling.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Any other questions? All right.
One quick question.
Yeah,
What tech stack are you using or will you use for the platform and infrastructure?
Well, so our blockchain platform has been developed on Quorum, which is a private permission blockchain, which I think is necessary when dealing with enterprise. I think a lot of the we were part of the IBM blockchain accelerator last year, and we'd actually initially built on Hyperledger Fabric, but we've decided to move on to Quorum because of it's part of the Ethereum stack. It's a private permission version of Ethereum, and Consensus actually has just acquired Quorum. And so we see that there's going to be a lot of continuous development in the development of Quorum as a private permission blockchain standard for the enterprise, as well as the development and investment in the interoperability between public and private blockchain, which is what we are going to have to see in the future as blockchain continues to develop and transform. I'm a big believer in blockchain and believe that this is one of the transformative technologies of our time and is going to not only transform international trade in the supply chain industry, but many industries across the board. So that is why we chose Quorum as our blockchain protocol.